Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, transforming the way people think and work so their organizations can thrive.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Ed Kless, and with me again is Ford Baker. Ford was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. He graduated from Texas A&M University in 1986 and began his career with the Houston office of Deloitte, Haskins Sells. After returning to Dallas, Ford joined the firm of Saville, Dodgen and Company and progressing to manager. And then after serving as chief financial officer for the North Texas franchise of Terminix International, he began his own tax and consulting practice. Once Accounting is a client integration platform Ford created within his firm to solve tax flow workflow inefficiencies. Once Accounting was recently chosen for the AICPA 2022 Accelerator Program. Welcome back to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, Ford Baker.
Hey, I used to Deloitte, Haskins and Sells. I think many people will say now, yeah, I was at Deloitte back when it was Deloitte and Touche. Well, I was back when it was Deloitte, Haskins and Sells. And you can carbon date a CPA by how big the 8 was, or the 4, the 6. It was big 8 when I got.
Yes, it's down to 4 now, and it's been holding steady for quite a while. So, but Ford, welcome back. And why do you do what you do, Ford?
I've got a passion for finding efficiencies inside our workflows, to find efficiencies for CPAs. I think it's been a long time since we've actually had a real meaningful upgrade in what we've been doing. It seems like we keep trying to fix the same issue, and I think I found the fix that'll make us more effective and efficient, give us that data to be a proactive advisor with.
And recently you've rebranded to Once Accounting. Why Once Accounting?
Well, Once Accounting comes from the thought of touch it once. And in 2016, I think it was, that Intuit said touch it once was one of the fundamental principles of productivity and time management, which makes you wonder why we don't have touch it once solutions. It's because they actually finished that sentence, but in the world of tax preparation, it's hard to do. And I kind of took exception with that. If we had a touch it once workflow, it would be easy to do. That's the whole purpose of touch it once. And I think what they were trying to say is that touch it once was hard to develop. But what we found out is that it was actually it was rather easy to develop by just focusing on being efficient with the right thing instead of working like the industry has worked for a long time.
And hence the notion of touching it once. And tell me a little bit more about the product and why you think it's such a game changer for the accounting profession.
Well, if you look at a problem like busy season or tax season or filing season, whether you're audit or tax, everybody has that same deadline. And there's what we consider like a time compression issue. And if you're going to fix something with technology, you're going to take a big problem like tax season and try to boil it down to a common item. So you can find a predictable, repeatable, predictable item in that workflow. And we've all focused on that trial balance. And that trial balance is it. And because we have software that doesn't require account numbers, and you have sub accounts and things like that, we're manually manipulating that to get that into our workflow. And the thing that I began to notice is that trial balance is actually not a standard. Because of those variances that we have, it's not a standard. And so since it's not a standard, it's actually a customizable tool that controllers used to use to close out the books, is almost like a checklist. And we've kind of converted that into the center point of our workflow. But it's a customizable tool by many of our account clients that don't understand a chart of accounts and how to work that. So what we've focused on instead is actual accounting standards that exist inside of every accounting platform. Instead of trying to find a hub around a trial balance that can be edited, we focus on the accounting principles that each accounting package uses to build financial statements in compliance with GAAP. We say we speak accounting, and that focused on those standards makes it so that we can do a lot of things that our industry doesn't really believe is as simple as it is. We can automatically map every line to a tax return. We can drag and drop to do consolidated financial statements, even across multiple different ERPs, because we focus on that common data, all the transactions, and we focus on the accounting standards that build a classified balance sheet and income statement that exist inside of each platform. And that becomes the common area that all of those platforms exist in, and they can all be stored together that way.
So what I'm hearing is less focus on whatever the account name is and more of, say, the account type would be
we look at the account type, and we don't look at the account number. It's kind of interesting that we've gotten so focused on account number when you and I are old enough to remember when 10 keys sat on our desk, and that's why there are numbers. Is we used to have, in our left hand we had the source document, and on our right hand we were doing data entry, and so you needed to put the number in. And we were doing all the bookkeeping and accounting for our clients, and so everybody had the same chart of accounts. Now nobody uses that number, but we get so hung up when we don't have that number to put in. And since there's no standard around it, we look at the account type, but we do look at the account name. So we pull the chart of accounts every day, and if a new chart of account item comes in and it's expense and it includes the word computer in it, then I'm going to put it in technology. If it's a fixed asset and it's got computer, then I'll put it in fixed assets. And we just create a standard set of tax leads that's automatically mapped to the tax software. And so if you want to know what Touch It Once looks like for public accounting, we click one button. We call it the Onboard Now button. Think of the Buy Now button you get from Amazon, where I can stand in my front yard, push a button on my phone, and get a hammock delivered to my house essentially that afternoon. Or if it comes from the other side of the planet, it may take a little bit longer. But the logistics of getting that hammock with everything I need to build that hammock, they don't know anything about me and how difficult it is for me to actually put together something like that. How many trips to Home Depot something like that normally takes. But they send me the wrench, they send me the Allen wrench or the little crescent wrench, they send me all the nuts and bolts, they send me the framework, they send me the instructions, everything I need to build that hammock, except for in my case, all the cuss words. And but in a matter of hours, I got the hammock, and a couple of days later, I've probably called a friend of mine to come over and help me put it together. But the idea that I can get that without them knowing anything about it, why can't we push an Onboard Now button and get everything you need? And so we click that button. You only click it once. That's the name of the platform. You never have to ask the client for data again. The client never has to send data to you again, or you never have to get it. We'll automatically update it every night. We go out, we grab the transaction, the chart of accounts. We identify all the fixed assets. We map every line to the tax return. We identify things that may create concerns where they've used the word keywords that the IRS looks for. Our focus was our MVP was a tax base. That's where I came out of. But really what we've done is addressed the gathering the data issue in a central manner. We've said multiple times as part of the accelerator that we focused on gathering the data first, and then any effectiveness or efficiency that we find inside that data gathering will impact tax, will impact audit, will impact everything. Instead of a siloed approach, what vertical is this for? What different silo or what solution provider does this work for? We're agnostic. We don't care what accounting software you use. We don't care what tax software we use. We just have a workflow that's really exciting. And believe it or not, we got a patent on using accounting standards for CPA firms inside workflow, and about 24 other claims. We got that in kind of really fast time. And so we've expanded that to internationally, and we have some continuation claims in process, but something that we're passionate about doing for public accounting, kind of give our lives back. Instead of focusing on the 60 days before the deadline, we can focus on the 470 days approximately we have between January 1st and next April 15th to expand the busy season. So it really is the solution. It's great to be used in my firm. I'm still finishing up returns now, so but it's something you've been working on all year long. You get the clear, you're ready to go, and you just push it into the software, and it's all done.
All right, I've got a sidebar question for you, and that is, what is the most unusual account name you have heard? I'll share with you mine. I once did an implementation at an organization called NYRA, the New York Racing Association, and they had an account for, ready, dead horse removal.
Wow. So I've got a client that is that's got a flair for the just naming it what she's thinking at the time. And I've edited it so many times. So usually it's got either an F-bomb or something like the stuff she doesn't want to, that she doesn't know what to do with. She'll just make an account. I mean, it's got to ask my accountant, or anything that's personal, she may drop into a personal type category. And I'm typically will just clean it up. It's like, we don't really want the IRS to find this. And it is very funny, but yeah, I would say it's probably one of the many that she's used over the years that I've had to clean up.
And Ford, we have an exit question that we ask all of our guests, and that is, who is a hero of yours and why are they a hero?
Right now, it's got to be Zelensky in the Ukraine. I mean, what he's doing over there and standing up to, fight off oppression from a much larger army instead of, a bunkered mentality of running and hiding. He is right there fighting with everybody else. And in today's world, we haven't seen a whole lot of that. And I'm proud to be fighting on the same side or mentally fighting on the same side as he is.
And lastly, Ford, how can somebody contact you?
Well, by the time this gets there, we'll be at onceaccounting.com, but right now it's bacotech.com. There's get a demo there, or you can email me at ford@bacotech.com or ford@onceaccounting.com.
All right. Outstanding. Ford Baker, thanks so much for being a guest once again on the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.
Thanks so much, Ed.
Review and subscribe by searching your podcast player of choice for Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.